Smoking Dank Sinatra, that's all gas. On the hunt in the tall grass. Intercepting every ball pass, then I run it back, that's a TD. Check the scoreboard, y'all last. We up one, you see me. Pussy niggas wanna talk about it, go to Hellcat, no demon. I be politicking on your broadcast at the red carpet like the famous homie. Ask your bitch, really famous homie, and you know it's in me. It ain't on me. So creative like I made Adobe. I've been balling like I played with Kobe.
The deal was the deal. PolitiKan the podcast. We back again Wednesday nights, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So we got a few things to talk about. We got Bronny James. He played his last game in high school. So Ohio State, USC, and Oregon are the top schools as far as where he'll be attending. John Morant has been suspended indefinitely pending investigation after he showed a handgun on Instagram Live. So we'll get to that. So the Lamar Jackson story continues. He has been franchise tagged by the Ravens. Now other teams can come and match their offers. And all the teams come out and said, nah, we don't want no parts of it. We're not interested. So we got to touch on that. 2 people died in a stampede at a GloRilla and Finesse 2 Times concert in New York City. And there's a defamation lawsuit. Dominion, the company that runs the voting system, they are suing Fox News for $1.6 billion because they said that they gave out false information that caused the insurrection by they were reporting that there was voter fraud and that Trump actually won the election. So we'll get to that for sure at the end of this. So what's the deal? It's just me and the famous homie right now. Let's see if anybody tap in. What's the deal, fool?
What's the deal, man? Gotta get to these stories, man. That shit is crazy. They still on that voter fraud shit. Like, damn, it's like 2-3 years later. They still on that.
Because they couldn't impeach Trump, man, so he could run again. He already said he running. So, right. It's all a chess move in business. You know how they run this shit, man. But let's get straight to this Bronny James, man. So Sierra Canyon, they lost their playoff game. And Bronny James' high school career is over. So he can either go to one of these colleges, be a one and done, and enter into the league, or he can enter into the G League like D Wade's son decided to do and play in the G League for 1 year and then try to join the league that way and play with his father before LeBron James retires. What do you think that Bronny James should do? Should he, go to Ohio State or USC or Oregon? He has been upgraded to a 5-star recruit. So what's your thoughts on Bronny James and what should he do as far as his future?
Well, I think Bronny James is benefiting greatly from being, the son of, one of the greatest players to ever play the game. He's definitely benefiting. I've seen him play, and although he's a good player, I don't believe he's a 5-star recruit. I think he's benefiting from being LeBron James' son off of that. And with that being said, I think he needs to go to college. He needs to go to college and let his game develop. I think I have every reason to believe that he will get better. He can get better. He has the resources. His dad, of course, he has the time. I think he can develop into an NBA player. I just don't think he is right now. I mean, a 5-star player is not scoring 10 points in the last game that you play. Like that, I haven't seen that. Usually when you're when you're one of those dudes, when you're one of them ones, you're going out guns blazing. Dub 25, 30. You know what I'm saying? You're having one of those electric games. So I don't think Bronny James is that as good as advertised right now. I think he should go ahead and go to either SC or Ohio State. The reason why I said those 2 schools, because obviously he's from Ohio and his roots are out there. And then, I'm sure he has family out there. And then USC, he has his family out here in LA. He'll be closer to his dad. His dad can help him out, and everybody else in their entourage or in their family. So I think he should go ahead and go to school for a couple of years, let his game develop. I know he wants to play with Bron, but in the league, you can make the league, but they're not just finna play you just because you Bron's son. You got to be actually good. So I don't think it's a wise decision just for him to touch the court with Bron. If he wants to touch the court and play and actually play with Bron, I think he needs a couple of years of school because his game is just not that impressive. And that's not on no hating shit. I've seen enough to say that his game, outside of his jumping ability and, you know, his athletic ability, there's nothing special about Bronny James's game, in my opinion.
Yeah, for me, I just feel like Bronny James, he's not going to be a one and done. This is the college route. Man, I don't see him going to college for 1 year. At the very least, he's going to have to do 2 years in college. And if he goes the G League route, you know, there's no guarantee that that's ever going to go past a 10-day contract. Right. Maybe he go the G League way and he get a 10-day contract and he's able to play with his father for a moment, you know, and I think that that's the best way right now that I see them actually, you know, getting to play with each other on the court. But right now, Bronny James he's a 5-star, you know, recruit, but as far as him, you know, being league ready, I still think he's 2-3 years off, if that. And then if he gets in the league, you know, I think he's going to be kind of a, you know, per se role player. And with his size, the traditional point guard is kind of, you know, out the window. So he would have to become in as more of a scoring point guard, a slashing point guard. So it's a lot of things he will have to add to his game to actually transition from where he's at now to making it into the league. But I still say that he does the USC route. He stay at home because LeBron don't look like he's leaving the Lakers anytime soon. And he can get, you know what I'm saying, that tutelage. He can be around those NBA players. If he goes to Ohio State or he goes to Oregon, you know, he's going to be off on his own. And you're going to be, you know, but would you go to USC, you're going to have the resources of the school and you're going to also have the resources of your father. So I say his best bet is to go to USC, play for 2-3 years, and then enter the league. You know, don't jeopardize your future trying to play on the same court with your father.
Right. But you know, that's what they're going to be pushing for, and I get it. But at the same time, you know, he's a 6'4", right? 6'4" point guard.
6'3".
6'3" point guard. That's average size right now for the point guards right now, and his skills. Look at the point guard position. Look at the Dames, the Kyries, the Trae Youngs, the Luka's playing point guard. You know, look at the Kyrie Irving. You know, there's several. Look at the point guards, and can Bronny keep up with that? I mean, he don't have a great shot. He don't have off the world handles. You know, he don't have a bag of moves. You know what I mean? Like outside of his athletic ability and his jumping ability, what's so impressive about Bronny James? So he has a lot of and like I said, he can get there. You know, he has his father, he has the time, he has the tools to practice, but he has to put in a lot of work in order to get to that NBA level. Because right now, I don't think he's on that level at all. Like he was a 4-star recruit up until recently. You said he'd been upgraded, and I was right. And I think they upgraded him because he's LeBron James' son. LeBron has that much power that he can upgrade him to a 5-star recruit. But I don't think he's a 5-star talent. That's just my opinion. I've seen him play enough to say that.
I'm drawing a blank on the team that his Sierra Canyon lost to, but I think they lost to him 4 times in a row. Mm-hmm. And the player that, you know, led them, you know, bust Bronny ass again, had 28 on him.
28, exactly.
And when you say, so when you see a NBA ready prospect put up against Bronny James, then you could get a real gauge of where he's at. And this last game was giving us a clear indication of where Bronny's game is right now. He's way levels above where he was, but as far as him being NBA ready, just because he's of age, doesn't make it make sense. And that's the biggest thing. I just want to is everybody's talking about what LeBron wants and what LeBron is talking about, but has anybody stopped and asked Bronny what he wants? Right. And And should Bronny jeopardize his future to and do all of this just to play momentarily with his father on the court? Most likely for a team that's not going to be contending.
Right. Like it makes no sense. I mean, in the sense of Bron is at his last legs. He could hardly stay on the court nowadays. It's not like they're gonna be winning championships together. So it's like, Bron can extend his time in the league 2-3 years, and just if he just wants to touch the court with Bronny, I think that's the best solution because Bronny can have a bright future. I'm glad you made that point about him going against the NBA ready player. Remind me of the Lonzo against De'Aaron Fox in the college right before they got drafted. Of course, Lonzo went number 2. And Lonzo, even I had the hype on Lonzo. I think Lonzo had great potential. But in that game, De'Aaron Fox absolutely obliterated Lonzo. And now it shows Lonzo can't even stay on the court. And De'Aaron Fox is one of the best point guards and top 10 point guard in the league right now. So I think Bronny has to be smart and think about himself a little bit and be his own man. You are LeBron James' son. That's good enough right there. To touch the court with him will be absolutely phenomenal. But I think he has to do it in order because if he don't, he gonna fuck up his NBA future.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, I mean, it'll be a great thing to see if we ever did see LeBron and Bronny on the court together.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm rooting for him. I want it to happen.
Right. I want it to
At
happen.
the same time, you know what I'm saying? You don't be afraid to dream, but then wake up and face reality. Right. And reality is the way it's looking right now. LeBron's just going to have to extend his career out and play for whatever team and give him a 1-year deal that maybe they go back to Cleveland. Right. But the way Cleveland is looking right now,
ain't no room for him. They
it looked like you could have had a reunion in Cleveland, but now they got Spider.
They got a squad. They're a championship contender. They're a legit contender in the East. Mm-hmm. And like you said, Bron best bet is to extend his career and wait for Bryce. Bryce is the one. Bryce is gonna be nice now. Bryce is nice. Bryce is better than Bronny, in my opinion.
Because Bryce got the size. So because of the size, you're automatically a better prospect.
Absolutely. And Bryce got the game too. Like he got the size with the game. Like he got it. Bryce got it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But we're gonna get to this next topic, man. So we got to get to John Morant, man. So we talked about John Morant 2-3 times on this podcast recently. And we talked about his behavior and how he kept getting into shit. And how, we full of a generation that ain't like that. But because so many of these niggas ain't like that, everybody think they like that.
Right.
And now we get these type of scenarios. So what's your thought on the suspension of John Morant after he was shown, I believe it was in Dallas, he was in a nightclub, and he was showing off a little 22, you know what I'm saying, Emmett Smith pocket rocket. You know what I'm saying? So what's your thoughts on John Morant, wanting to be a gangster so bad?
I mean, I think I would have to I was trying not to judge this situation too much with not knowing really what's going on. I mean, a lot of the media and a lot of the people have painted this picture about Ja wanting to be a gangster, and I saw Skip Bayless talking about he'd be throwing up the Crip sign all the time and stuff like that. There it goes right there on the screen. You know what I mean? If that's the case with Ja, I know he probably won't see this, but if there's a chance he do, I would just hope that brother just, lets that go, man. Let the streets go. Let wanting to be a gangster go. You're arguably a top 5 player in the game right now. Your team is a championship contending team already, and you're so young. You're at the top of your game right now. You're at the top of the league right now. Why do you want to jeopardize that with just wanting to be impress the streets so much and want to be part of the streets? Fuck all that bullshit. Fuck the streets. Fuck all that. That ain't for you, Ja. So I think Ja, if he's trying to do that, if what the media is saying is true, I will hope somebody in his corner or somebody in his team, or hopefully his daddy ain't co-signing the shit and keep it real with him and tell him to stop the shit. Now, as far as what's happening to him, going to, get into the fight with the kid or whatnot, more facts came out about that. I'm just saying, I look at it like this. It was a 17-year-old kid, and he was playing ball at Ja Morant's house. that gives me an indication that that 17-year-old kid is in some way related to Ja or very close to Ja, because Ja's not going to have any random 17-year-old playing basketball at his house. So that had to be somebody close to him. The 17-year-old kids nowadays playing basketball, Ja's not going to play with no bum. So I'm sure the kid has some size on him and can actually play. So the kid is 17, but he probably was running his mouth, talking his shit, and overstepped a little bit and trying to step to a grown man and got his ass slapped. Now, I'm just saying, like, I'm not saying, oh, I'm glorifying anything like that, but people got to realize when you play basketball, it gets heated. And this boy probably has some size and was probably popping his shit, and Ja had to check his ass. Now, him getting caught with the gun, waving it on Instagram, do I believe he should be suspended over that? No. I've seen players do worse than that in other sports and in the same sport. There's been a lot of stuff that's going on. I think Ja is unfairly being treated and being targeted in that area, although I believe he does need to separate himself from the streets and from all this other shit. I think he's being targeted and unfairly treated, and everything's being overblown with him just waving a gun on Instagram. It ain't like he had the gun in somebody's head or threatened to kill somebody. You know what I'm saying? It's illegal to own a firearm. Is that, you know what I'm saying? I don't understand that.
Everybody's comparing it to the Gilbert Arenas situation, but Gilbert Arenas and them was drinking and gambling.
Right.
And after the gambling, it led to an altercation, and then the altercation led to him getting his gun and drawing down.
Right.
So you know what I'm saying? It's like night and day as far as the scenario.
Right.
So just because it's a black man involved in a firearm, they're trying to make it seem like it's the same scenario, and it's nowhere near the same scenario. Now, is he tripping? Should he be really thinking about what he's doing? Do he need better people in his corner? Does he need some real mentorship in his life? Yeah. But is it comparable to what Gilbert Arenas was doing? No, it's not. You know what I'm saying? Amrock, you from the DMV. So you got firsthand knowledge of when that all went down with Gilbert Arenas. So do you think that this Ja Morant situation is even close to what happened with Gilbert Arenas?
No, Gilbert Arenas straight brought a gun into the arena to basically threaten a teammate. Like, no way. Like Ja Morant, I think he was just being a little young. We forget this. He's still a kid in a sense, right? He's still 23, even though he's on TV making millions of dollars, right? We still seem to lose sight that a lot of these athletes, are just they're still kids. They're still young, and they haven't learned yet to understand, watch the people around you, watch the influences around you, right? So yeah, no, I would say absolutely not. This is not the same situation. Gilbert Arenas, again, he brought a gun to the stadium on purpose, looking to threaten or to seriously harm someone. This was not the case with Ja Morant at all.
Yeah, so what's your thoughts on what should happen with Ja?
I mean, he's away from the team right now. I think this is enough. I don't think this is anything alarming. I guess it's only alarming because, again, he's Ja Morant. He's an athlete. He's just, he's the star player on the Memphis Grizzlies, one of the best teams now in the, in the Western Conference. He's a young black man in Memphis, living in Memphis right now. There's a target on his back, right? I mean, any time there's a black athlete and there's guns involved, there's, adultery involved, or, some type of controversy, that's what they want, right? And so they found something on Ja Morant very easily that they can point to where, he's the typical black athlete, causing, out here doing crazy things, right? But again, we lose sight of the fact that, he's still 23 years old. People make mistakes. This man did not, come out and harm anyone as far as we know, or shoot and kill anyone as far as we know. So, again, he's been away from the team now for 4 or 5 games. He'll be away from the team 4 or 5 more. I think this is enough. Let him get himself right. Let him get his, head right, and then return to the court. But like any further punishment than that, I don't think is warranted or needed.
So the league is saying that especially after the Gilbert Arenas, it's illegal to have a firearm. I mean, well, it's against their rules to have a firearm on any type of team bus, any type of arena, any type of hotel, plane, anything that has to do with a team. So if that gun came from with his carry on bag. Then he basically took it to the arena, took it on the team bus, took it on the team plane, took it into the hotel, took it to the game, and then took it to the nightclub after. So that's what the investigation is pending. Because after the league started to look into that, then they try to say that it wasn't a gun and it was one of those lighters that looked like a gun. So the league is investigating on trying to prove that he took that gun from Memphis to Denver so that they can prove that he had this gun in all of these places where the rules clearly state that you cannot have a firearm or face punishment. So if the league finds any proof that he had that handgun in any of these locations, then it's going to be a swift and hard punishment for John Morant. And because of this, they really have to make an example, especially with all the shootings going on in America and the temperament in the country, period. They have to make a big an example of this. So whether it's John Moran or not, I mean, we had what was his name on the Patriots in the NFL?
Aaron
Uh,
Hernandez.
yeah, Aaron Hernandez. They can't wait to Aaron Hernandez. Aaron Hernandez went to jail right after winning the Super Bowl.
Right.
So you know what I'm saying? It's like he was a Pro Bowler. He got the big contract. He was a baller at Florida when he was winning championships over there. Or was it Miami? One of those.
It was
But it was. I just feel like they about to make a big example out of John. And as far as Memphis, the rest of the season, I mean, you could put that in, and because of that, now the Lakers might sneak their ass into the playoffs. This is some bullshit.
Nah, I don't think so. I mean, charges have been dropped. Breaking news on that. Charges have been dropped against Ja, so he won't be charged with anything with that incident. And I don't think they would have. It's not enough games left to impact the Lakers. If you forget, Memphis, they played well without Ja. Even last year, they won 2 games against the Warriors without Ja. So I think them losing don't have anything to do with the Lakers. I think they're too far up for the Lakers. And as far as Ja, whatever happens with the situation, I think if he just get back to basketball and make it that, I mean, we've seen the late great, rest in peace, Kobe Bryant, come back from the allegations in 2004, and it looked like it was dead for him. It looked like, Kobe was done as far as being the face of the league, and he got back to basketball after that was all resolved, and you know what happened after that. So if Ja could just get back to basketball and focus on basketball, that boy got a chance of, being the best player in the NBA. He just got to get back to basketball.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, just real quick. Yeah, it's crazy how it's constantly the black athlete. Now, this was Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, right? Or Jokic, or Luka in the NBA. Would this carry the same weight, right?
Nah.
And we all know the answer, right? we all know the answer. No, right? So why is it always but also with us, right? We also need to understand that it doesn't carry the same weight. So while we continue to put ourselves in these predicaments as well, right? We have to start being smarter, and and again, hopefully John Morant is hearing what a Steven Jackson is trying to tell him on Instagram, right? Like, like be smart, watch the people around you, right? And again, he's only 20, 22, 23 years old. People make mistakes. Again, this is not to excuse anything, but I don't look at this and say, oh, I think he might end up being another Aaron Hernandez, unfortunately. Hopefully it doesn't escalate to that level, right? But we just have to be smart. Black athletes have to be smart out here. Understand that these standards don't work for us. Like we can't do the same things as white athletes might be able to do and get away with. Doesn't work for us that way. They like you said, Caleb, they will make an example of us very quickly. As Ime Udoka, white coaches be doing the same thing that he was doing, but look what happened with him. So, we just got to be smart, man. Anytime you black in a situation of success or power, man, you have to be smart, man. You have to be smart.
Well, I mean, to piggyback off that, Amrock, I think, with the incident we seen with the Lakers, remember when they got in a little scuffle with Ja, and Ja's father came over there? I mean, It's hard I'm not going to judge completely off of that one situation, but, what I'm saying, the fact that his father was kind of egging that on in the crowd and doing that, that's a bad look, man. That like you're his father, like you should have told him instead of trying to be involved in a scuffle or fighting in a shit talking battle, you got to de-escalate that situation to set the example as his father. So it's looking like, his examples around him, including his father, those are the people that got to take accountability for this. Because Ja is 23 years old. Like, as a parent, you're mostly responsible on how your child is going to turn out as an adult. Now, of course, we make our own decisions as an adult. But if you have a good upbringing and people around you, you might stray, but you will go back to those roots and make those sound decisions. So it sounds like his circle, including his family, got to do better. They got to do better or move the fuck around.
Mm-hmm. So to piggyback off what both of y'all was talking about, one thing we understand is that with black people, especially in America, it is systemic. Everything is systemic. So going against all the odds you beat to even be in this position, you got to understand that they want you to fail. They want a reason to keep their money in their pocket. They want a reason to be able to low cut you, to underball you, to take the leverage from you. And that's why we're about to get to this next topic with Lamar Jackson, because the NFL is taking the leverage back from Lamar Jackson. So Lamar Jackson sat out the playoff game and said that he was still injured and that he wasn't going to play unless he was 100%. But everybody knew that he was sitting out and holding out because of the contract and that he should have never played in the first place last year. Now they hit him with the franchise tag. And right after they hit him with the franchise tag, the Panthers, the Falcons, the Commanders, all these teams come out making a statement saying, hey, yeah, we know we need a quarterback, but we're not interested in Lamar Jackson. So do you think that, like, the NFL is colluding with each other to make sure that they freeze Lamar Jackson out so that he don't get that $200 million guaranteed? They said that in negotiations they were off by $100 million. So they trying to pay him $100 million, and he's feeling like he's worth north of $200 million. Do you think that he will get anything close to that $200 million from any of these NFL teams? Because it seems like they're all in cahoots with making sure that Lamar Jackson never sees that contract the way that Watson did down with the Browns. What's your thoughts?
Honestly, I'm about ready. I've been ready. You know what? I've been ready to really just boycott the NFL just as a viewer. Like, I have not been feeling the NFL ever since what they did to Colin Kaepernick and with the statements the comments Jerry Jones made. Like, the NFL is on some bullshit. Like, Lamar Jackson is worth every bit of that $200 million. That man is one of the most dynamic quarterbacks, not just black quarterbacks, period, that we've seen in the last 30 years. Like, the man is a bad man. Like, hell yeah, he deserved that $200 million. And the fact that they sit up here saying that they're not interested, it definitely looks like a conspiracy, and these teams are conspiring against him to not get him paid, because he is a dynamic quarterback. He can change any franchise around. That's how good this man, at least in the regular season, for sure. Now, of course, he hasn't proven and won a championship, but he gonna get you 12 wins. The man is dynamic. I don't understand it, because I seen scrubs like, what's his name, Matt Ryan and the Rams quarterback. What's his name?
Matt Stafford.
Stafford is a bum. Like I keep telling people, he is not good. That boy has not done shit in the league before he got to that super squad with the Los Angeles Rams. And he stayed getting contracts. All these white quarterbacks who ain't no good have 20-year careers getting paid. Benny Testaverde, I don't know if y'all remember him. That man stayed in the league for a long time, and he was
Doug Flutie,
fucking king. Like
Doug Flutie played till he was like 43.
That's what I'm saying. Like a lot of these white quarterbacks are getting paid and are keeping jobs, and they're going to sit up here and tell me that you're not interested in signing Lamar Jackson, who is arguably talent-wise, arguably a top 5 talent at that position ever, not just black quarterback position, period. So the fact that they doing that to this man, it let me know the NFL is on some bullshit. The NFL been on some bullshit. The NFL needs to change their business model. They need to change the way they do things because it's more than obvious that they have a bias against a lot of these black players, especially when it comes to the quarterback position. Because in football, the quarterback position has historically been dominated by white quarterbacks. But now the changing in the guard has happened. You see the kid in San Francisco, Jalen Hurts and Mahomes and Lamar. You see all these guys coming on strong, and they're finally starting to change the narrative when it comes to the quarterback position. And that's the last position they got in the NFL. Ain't no great white running backs outside of that McCaffrey kid. That's a black dominant position. Wide receivers is black dominant position. Defensive backs is black dominant position. Linebackers, all of that. So they don't want that position to be taken, and it looks like that they're trying to do everything they can to prevent that position to be taken. And to me, it's more than obvious. So myself, I've been kind of leaning off of the NFL. I don't watch it like that as much as I used to. The Super Bowl I watch, but at this point, NFL is making me lose interest like completely with that bullshit.
Yeah, the NFL definitely with black quarterbacks, black head coaches, black GMs has been, just very disappointing, especially when a lot of its viewership is black people and the majority of its players. 75% of the NFL is black. And with Lamar Jackson, it's not just that he's a black quarterback as to why they're keeping him down. He's also a black quarterback who represents himself, who his black mama represents him as well, right? And they don't like that. They don't, why don't you have, an agent, right? A white agent, right? Like why don't you have that, right? It's that factor. And also, it's the factor that to be fair in the situation, Lamar Jackson does have a history of injuries, and with his style of play, maybe, also that factors into why teams are not necessarily interested in him. But is he worth the money? Absolutely. Like you said, the man is a former MVP. He is guaranteed, to give you 11 to 12 wins a season. Baltimore just, they just haven't really been healthy since they've had Lamar. They've made the playoffs. I think he finally got a playoff win, but overall, they just really haven't been healthy. And the AFC, it's just been tough with Kansas City and Cincinnati in the mix. Buffalo has been in the mix, but the Titans have been in the mix. It's just been a tough out in the AFC. And if you're not healthy in the NFL, that is a huge factor, no matter who you are. No matter who you're. The one season Tom Brady got hurt, Patriots still had a decent season, but did they do anything? No. So health matters, right? So that is also a factor with Lamar Jackson. But yeah, the NFL has been trying to keep black quarterbacks down, or keep that position as white as possible. I guess that's why they say, with Mahomes, even though yes, he is black, still, right? It's NFL's part of an image thing too, right?
But if you look at Mahomes' deal, they signed Mahomes early, and he's probably getting paid. He's probably the 12th highest paid quarterback annually in the league right now.
Well, Mahomes,
so they got Mahomes on the deal.
Well, Mahomes was smart. I mean, and I'm sure they probably went to him and said, "Look, we want you here for the next decade, but to keep, to make sure that we keep this championship thing going, right? We have to pay you, long term, 300 million over 10 years or what have you. So that way we can keep a Travis Kelce. We can keep all these different players. We may not be able to keep Tyreek Hill, but still we just won the Super Bowl. So it actually worked out, right? So in that situation, he's smart. Like with Lamar Jackson, every player is different. Everybody's different. Tom Brady took the same approach, right? He took a little bit less, to keep those Patriots teams intact. Everybody's different. Some players like Aaron Rodgers just want their money. They've done what they need to do, won a Super Bowl, won an MVP. They feel like they deserve that money, especially when they see players like Derek Carr, who also hasn't done anything in the league, right? Matthew Stafford, all these different players. Even a black player, Deshaun Watson, what has he done in the league? He's a great talent, but compared to Lamar Jackson, it don't add up, right?
So when you mention Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Rodgers won that Super Bowl 12, 15 years ago.
Right.
Now he's won an MVP recently, but so has Lamar Jackson. But you know what Lamar Jackson has? Age. How old is Rodgers? 39, 40 something?
Right.
He doesn't. We haven't even heard if he's officially even coming back or what his decision is.
Right.
But you can let him be 40 and hold your team hostage and pay him $50 million a year guaranteed. But when the black quarterback at 25 that carried your team since day one, he asks for $50 million a year, and you like not guaranteed. Hell no.
I hear what you're saying. I hear it, and but it's also a factor of we have to recognize what it is. Lamar Jackson has not been healthy. That is a key factor. I understand look, I'm with y'all with the race card. Don't get me wrong. Don't get it twisted. But he has not been healthy. Aaron Rodgers, he's been on the field for the most part, right? Tom Brady, he has been. Now, yes, these are white quarterbacks, but they have remained healthy. I think if anything, if the Ravens want to keep him, they need to understand, go to him and say, look, maybe we could stretch this out so that way we can get you an offensive line so you're not running for your life and you can stay on the damn field. Let's get you some receivers that you can pass to down the field because Lamar Jackson has an incredible arm, right? They should talk to him about that, maybe similar to how Kansas City talked to Mahomes, right? Instead of just, the back and forth with negotiate, they should really go to Lamar and say, Lamar, look, we really want to keep you. How can we stretch out this 250, 300 million that you're looking for so we can put the right team around you? I think if they had that conversation with him, maybe there might be some solution and they'll get him signed to exactly what he wants and exactly what he deserves. But that health thing is a factor. We'll do as an owner. Would you seriously pay your top athlete top dollar, even though it is a possibility he might not be on the court or on the floor? You have to really ask yourself that question. Black or white, you have to ask yourself that question. And it's the same thing with Anthony Davis in LA, right? People worry about, well, he cannot stay on the court. He always gets hurt. So you have to factor that in. Black or white.
That's true. Good point.
Yeah. One thing you brought up too was that the fact that he is not having one of those agents because he is representing himself and he has family members representing himself and he has lawyers consulting them, but he doesn't have an actual agent per se. This is why they think that they can take advantage of these type of scenarios. And I was looking at I watched old clips in an interview we did with me and you, Ronnie. And I posted the clip on Instagram, and I was talking about black people and how we have to have tactics. What the Black Panther Party did was it taught us tactics, a way to combat these people in the business world because they come at it with these ruthless tactics, and we don't know how to respond to them. We take everything personally, when in reality, if that was an agent representing you, they wouldn't be in the room taking stuff personally because they understand the tactics that these business people are coming with. So we have to get tactical And we have to really understand how business deals are really being done. If you want 200 million, you're gonna have to bring it. If you're gonna get the highest contract in NFL history, you think that you're gonna get it by walking in there with your mom and your uncle?
Right.
Niggas gotta have some more tact than that. You gotta have some more a better business acumen than that. To think that you can just walk in there with your mom and your uncle and get the biggest contract in NFL history. So you know what I'm saying? You can hire an agent just right now to broker this deal. You don't have to hire the agent to serve you over, but you gotta come correct. And Lamar Jackson, he is really just dropping the ball as far as representing himself, and that's why I don't think that ultimately he's not gonna get that 200 million guarantee that he's looking for. They're gonna franchise tag him twice, and if he chooses to play, that's the first part. I think that he should go out there, he should play on it, and he should prove that he can stay healthy for a season so that he can have some leverage going back to the negotiation table.
It's chess, not checkers.
Yes, sir. Well, let's get to this hip hop news, man. So, New York, they had a GloRilla and Finesse two-time concert. And I guess during the concert, I guess the people heard a loud bang and they assumed that it was gunshots. No gunshots were fired, no shells were recovered, none of that stuff happened. But because they thought it was gunshots, everybody started to rush towards the exit. The venue did not have adequate exits. They had one exit, and everybody got stampeded trying to exit. Uh, Actually, four people ended up in the hospital, and two of them ended up deceased. This is happening a lot at these hip hop concerts and festivals. I was just at Rolling Loud, Playboy Cardi. Like three people got knocked out in mosh pits during his set. He was raging. They call it raging. What it was the Travis Scott astronaut status when people were passing out and like hip hop is at an all time high. It's bringing in a lot more revenue, but at the same time, it's getting a lot more dangerous. What are y'all thoughts on like these concerts and how can we make these things more safe? Because every year we having more and more people dying at concerts and festivals.
Man, that shit is crazy. To where do I start? Like you brought up the Astro World with Travis Scott and a couple of other incidents. This one included. You never worry about. You never think going to a concert. You never think in a million years that I'm going to die, not from being beat up, not from getting shot, not from getting a stray bullet or something, but getting caught in a stampede. Now, I think, of course, hip hop will be made as the scapegoat, but the real issue is, the people that are running these shows and throwing these shows, which I don't think got nothing to do with black people. They got to start choosing better venues and taking better precautions when they throw to some of these events. You can't sit up here and expect a hip hop event where people are partying, having a good time, smoking, drinking, taking this pill, taking that pill, they geeking out and all this other shit, and not have adequate exits or anything like that, or make sure the thing is safe. Like, that's on them. Like, of course, I remember when it happened to Travis Scott with Astro World, he was getting blamed for the shit like it was his fault. He's the motherfucker that's performing. He ain't the motherfucker that's choosing the venues and picking this and picking that. He's just performing. He was doing his job. He's not responsible for what's going on in the crowd. So they said weren't no gunshots fired, but I think the people that are throwing these shows and picking the venues, and they got to do a better job overall, even with the safety as far as people having weapons or having if it's thousands of people in there, why would there be one exit? Let's say an emergency did happen. Let's say the building start caving in. I mean, we don't know. We don't know what can happen. We don't know. We can't predict the future. Anything can happen. So why would you not be prepared for any catastrophe or a natural disaster even to happen in these areas to where you got 7, 8, 9, 10, 20 exits to where people can get out. Don't choose these venues for this type of stuff because anything can happen. People losing their life at a concert or a show, that made me not want to go to no shows. I'll be damned if I get stamped. I'm going out dying, getting stampeded and getting stomped on. Or my kids are getting older. They becoming adults and they go to a show in the future. And I hear on the news that one of them got caught in a stampede trying to get out of a concert because somebody had a gun or somebody had a knife or an earthquake happened. This is on them. Like, they have to take accountability of whoever's running this shit, throwing these shows, picking these venues to pick. Don't be so thirsty to have these events, but take your time and pick the right venue that has the right safety plan in hand and safety strategies on hand as well, so you can guarantee that people enjoy the damn show and able to go home to their damn families. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's well said, Ronnie. I concur with everything that Ronnie just said. It's the blame falls on whoever the venue manager or management. For one, you have to, there's fire codes with, making sure that you're not over capacity in a sense, right? And when you hear about a stampede, I immediately think, that sounds like a lot of people were in there that, maybe it was a little bit too crowded. It was a little too over capacity. But it's still unfortunate that 2 people lost their lives. Condolences to, the families. And, like Ronnie said, you're going there to enjoy a hip hop concert. You're not expecting to die, going to a hip hop concert. I mean, especially from a stampede. I mean, that's gotta be one of the worst ways to go out, right? I mean, you're literally dying while people are, running over you. That's horrifying. But yeah, the blame doesn't fall on the artists. Especially in hip hop culture, they love to put the artists out there in front. Oh, look, it was another black person. They couldn't control their concert venue. They couldn't control their fans, what have you. So let's blame them. No, the blame is not on them. Where, is there adequate security? Or, are they with the fire code as far as with capacity? Are there, plenty of exits for people to get out? There's a whole bunch of different factors when you're factoring in, these venues and these buildings or what have you, that needs to be considered, and thought of more so than just blaming the artist immediately just because GloRilla, just because she's the headliner. Oh, let's blame her. No, that's not on her. It wasn't on Travis Scott. Unfortunately, these things happen, but it is a bigger issue when it comes to the venue and where they are having these concerts at. And you have to look at, who is running the venue more so than anything. All right. Again, do they have adequate security? Was it over capacity? All those things you have to consider first when you're doing your full investigation. But of course, because it is hip hop and she's a hip hop artist, they're going to throw her name out there. And of course, put them as a scapegoat, which is how it always goes.
So when you talk about these venues, I don't know how it is out there, but out here, everything is about section. Now the venue would have 500 capacity, but because they want to sell sections and having sections is so important that there's really no standing room, that they put 50 sections in there. So now standing room is only capacity for 100 people because you got all these sections that you put in here, so that you can bring out sparklers and bottles and do the whole hip hop thing. So as far as doing concerts in clubs, I really don't think that's more for walkthroughs. But they doing full concerts in clubs that have capacity for 200-300 people, and these motherfuckers is greedy. If 500 people show up to your 300 venue, you gonna let them in until the firemen come shut it down.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what I'm saying? It's really just about the janky promoters. You ain't never watched that movie. That's why we gotta school our youngsters on these old school bootleg movies, man. Because you know what I'm saying, they dealing with these janky promoters, and that's why all this shit be happening.
Right. Right.
Yep.
That was a classic, by the way. Janky promoters. That's a ghetto classic.
Yeah, well, you know what I'm saying? That's real. Like,
Yeah, that's real shit.
janky ass promoters, bro. But let's get to this last topic, man. So we gotta get to politics. So you know, politics is always going crazy. We're ramping up for the 2024 election, and the Democrats are up to their usual games. So Dominion was the voting company that owned the voting machines that counted the 2020 election. And the Democrats and the DOJ have basically weaponized them to sue Fox News for $1.6 billion for their coverage of the presidential election 2020. Fox News was stating that there was so much voter fraud going on and that Dominion didn't work and that Dominion was hacked by the Russians and that a bunch of fake dead people was sending in mail-in ballots and that none of this system was working, and that Trump actually won the election. The Democrats partnered with Dominion to flip the election for Biden. And this is what they're blaming the insurrection on January 6th. They're saying that this was all caused because of the propaganda that Fox News was putting out. Now, the new the House Speaker, McCarthy, Republican, he's the one that gave this new information up to the DOJ and said that he was doing it in transparency. So I just want to say the first thing that I think of this when I look at this is I think that this is them trying to get all the blame away from Trump. If you can blame Fox News for this, then you can't say Trump wild up the people to do the insurrection. It was Fox News that actually did it, and that's why they getting sued. So I think that this is actually a plan from McCarthy and the Republican Party to point the finger at Fox News because Fox News has already been more bipartisan and they're already starting to side with more Democratic views. When Trump was in office, Fox News was just Trump news. So I think that this is a Republican Party play to try to blame Fox News so that they can clear Trump of all charges with the insurrection so that Trump can move forward with really trying to get the Republican Party back in where they were when Trump was in office. So what's your thoughts on this whole voter fraud scenario? And then what's your thoughts on this $1.6 billion lawsuit against Fox for spreading propaganda?
Whew. I mean, they've been talking about this voter fraud thing for a while now. I think ever since Trump lost. I think when he lost, they were talking about it. You know, I'm not going to sit up here and say that they're wrong about that. You know, I don't think politics historically have ever had a clean background or done things in a clean way with politics, period. I mean, a lot of the stuff that we see on TV shows is real. I don't know if you guys have watched the show Scandal. You know, Scandal that was with Kerry Washington, you know, that exposed a lot that goes on in the political world, you know, with fraud and all this other stuff. And so I don't think that they're all the way wrong about that. Now, as far as their trying to get it to where Trump was, I mean, all is fair in politics for me. I think, you know, well, the way I believe politics is just crooked, like on both sides, like the Democrats, the Republicans. You know, we've both witnessed unfair things happening or things happening from both sides. You know, Donald Trump was a hated president, you know, by a lot of people because of his, you know, racist banter, because of the things he said about building walls and some of the stuff he said about blacks and what his father did back in the day with denying blacks home loans and stuff like that. You know, people have deemed Donald Trump as a racist and a racist that speaks loud. And he made sure that a lot of people, you know, a lot of white people, racist white people, they came out loud and strong when he was a president. You know, if we kind of, I'm not saying erase that, but if we look past that and look at what actually happened, and look what's happening now. While Biden has had his tenure within the last 2 to 3 years, I can honestly say that I feel better about the direction the country was going in, when that, racist pink motherfucker was the president. So I think this tactic is to definitely even the playing field so Trump can get back in office so he can get another term. Is it fair? I don't know. There's a lot that's not fair in politics, but I think that's just definitely what's happening. And it's going to be an interesting 18 months until we get there. It's going to be an interesting 18 months.
Yeah, I would say I don't believe during any president's tenure throughout American history have, any president really came out and supported blacks or done, anything to fully change black people's situation in America as far as the systemic racism that faces us every day in almost every avenue of life. And so, look, politics, all of it is corrupt, whether you're Democrat, Republican, green, independent, purple, whatever party you want to represent. Most of it is corrupt. I'm pretty sure you probably have a few politicians out there who really truly want to do the right thing. I think they understand, especially the white community, that uh, uh, that politics is power, and getting in those positions is power, right? The news, Fox News, knows that their platform is powerful. The propaganda that they can spew, throwing out the number, the 1.3 billion, that's just they just want to throw out a number out there to, ooh, it's 1.3 billion, like, oh snap, it must be something. Look, that shit will go away, somehow, some way, right? They'll find a way to make it go away. But to y'all's point, this is just to, push Trump to the forefront. This is the media campaign. This is the things that happen almost around every election. Again, the bottom line is, no matter who's in office, what are you doing specifically, to help the black community? And what is the black community? What are we demanding from these presidents, these senators, these congressmen, and whoever, all these other politicians, right? You just had a whole bunch of Republicans not sign basically a bill or a treaty or something like that to denounce racism, right? So white supremacy, there were Republicans that did not sign a document to denounce white supremacy. So what does that tell you, right? They know and understand that this is a position of power. They don't care, what we think, especially not the black community, right? They're in those positions, making the money that they're making, getting away with, more crimes than any, dude on the street, right? These are the real thugs here, right? These are the real criminals, these politicians rather. And so, again, with almost with any topic with politics, right? It's all a big distraction. They're just throwing things at us to take our mind off of this, off of that. Like you said, this is definitely setting up Trump's run or campaign, trying to, make noise about that. But, again, during any presidency, at least since I've been alive, since 1990, right? Like, there hasn't been any president to fully help black, even Barack Obama. There has been no president to fully help black people in the black community. And we have not demanded from any president, certain things that we need in the black community to change. And so that is the real thing that we should be looking at, no matter who is in office, whether it's Trump, Biden, they throwing Michelle Obama in the mix, whoever decides to be the president. Again, what are you doing for us, and what are we demanding from you all? The Fox News and all that, they're still going to, no matter what, 1.3, but that's not going to shut the company down. They're still going to be there, still doing what they do, still spewing the propaganda and the lies that they spew. And that goes for all of them, not to say that, all of them are like Fox News, but certainly, there are still people on MSN, MSNBC, and the other networks that are also corrupt and spewing propaganda as well. So, it's all a big game. It's all a big system. And the bottom line is we have to not lose focus off of, okay, again, what we as the Black community demanding from them, and what are they providing to help us get out of the situations that we've been in for decades now, for a century now. Like that has to change. And up until up until Barack, he was the first Black president. For the 45th, 46th, well, whatever number he was, 44th, he was the first, right? It's in politics, especially with our people, there's been a history of systemic racism, bigotry, corruption, right, keeping us down in every way possible, and that's what we'll try to continue to do. And so we have to, again, not lose focus and understand that there's a bigger picture here, and they're putting these things out, and these things are happening for a reason. It's very strategic, but we cannot lose focus as the Black community. When it comes to electing this next president or the next senators or the next congressman, and also the Black community, we need to understand that the local votes are even more important than the federal government votes, right? The president is normally just the pawn, the puppet that they put out there, right? But the Congress and the Senate, the House of Representatives, also the governors, the mayors, the district attorneys, those elections matter even more so and are more critical than the president of the United States and what the news of the president.
So one thing I want to look at is the definition of propaganda, because as Black people, we really got to learn jargon.
Mm-hmm.
We don't learn jargon, which is business, talk, business conversation. So a lot of the times we don't understand when they're using these words, what they're talking about or what they're meaning. So what propaganda is information, especially biased or misleading nature, used to promote or publicize a particular political cause or point of view. And in this case, that is exactly what Fox News does. That is all that Fox News does. And I watch Tucker Carlson and I watch Lindsey Graham and I take them out just because I want to see all parts of the spectrum. I'm going to watch CNN. I'm going to watch MSNBC. I'm going to watch NBC. I'm going to watch all of them. And I'm going to form my own, thoughts of what's really going on, and come back and try to inform y'all on what I think is going on and what I see. Because you can't just get it from MSNBC and like you talked about, Amrock, they're all guilty of propaganda. Every last single one of these news outlets are aligned with certain political views that are spewing to their target audience.
Yep, absolutely.
And you're doing that, why? Because the advertisers are paying you to advertise to per se target audience, and that's how TV works. So for you to sit here and try to say that Fox News is doing propaganda, all news is fucking propaganda.
Right.
Fact.
But let's get some shout outs before we get up out of here.
Hey, Rich, real quick, shout out to you guys. Shout out to PolitiKan. Definitely appreciate you guys having this platform and giving people like myself the opportunity to speak on important issues and important topics out there. Black West creators, everybody, please go follow on IG. Again, big things is happening slowly but surely. Big things is happening, but as always, man, shout out to you guys. Shout out to the DMV. Shout out to Baltimore, man.
Yes. Shout out to the whole cast panel. Shout out to our guys that are not present today.
Yeah.
Brand of encouragement with y'all Jaquetted, focus on the future with Alvin. And shout out to everybody who's been out there in the field working in this media game with us, with PolitiKan broadcasting. Shout out to you too, Amrock, for coming on here, and Dan Sinatra for getting on here every Wednesday. It's not easy, y'all, to create a show, to put the graphics up, put together the show, run the show. Murdoch, shout out to Murdoch on the boards, but just want to give everybody props for what they do, and like you said, giving us a platform to speak on, and open our mouths and be heard. It's definitely like therapy to be able to get this off your chest and let the public hear it. You know what I mean? So I just definitely want to shout out to everybody who listened to us on the audio tip around the world and watch us on, you know, YouTube and whatnot.
So right now, you know, I feel like Goku. You know, every life throws you a bunch of different shit, and you know, and it really transitions you. And when you make it on the other side of it, it really empowers you. You reach that new power level. You go to that next level. But my hunger is insatiable. I want more. I need more. I gotta have it. I want it. I'm gonna chase it down. So all my goals, all my dreams, everything that I said I was coming for, ain't no more talking, man. You know what I'm saying? You just gonna see action. You just gonna see niggas moving and sit back and watch. You know what I'm saying? As far as the non-believers, thank you. I appreciate you. You know what I'm saying? Because y'all the motherfuckers that fuel me. I was watching Deion Sanders' interview on the Pivot podcast. And he's like, you know what? You know, I went through high school. I was an all-star baseball player, basketball player, football player. Nobody was ever in the stands for me. I didn't need nobody cheering for me to fuel me, to give me that thing, that dog. I already had it in me. And I felt that to the core. I don't need not one motherfucker on this earth to cheer for me because I know what the fuck I'm doing and I know the impact that I have in this motherfucking world. And I'm coming for everything. PolitiKan, the podcast. I don't know what you're going to do with your life. Now I'm going to get to it, man. We out.
Do it.
Yes, sir.
Here.
Stop me! You're gonna have to fucking kill me!
Smoking Dank Sinatra, that's all gas. On the hunt in the tall grass. Intercepting every ball pass, then I run it back, that's a TD. Check the scoreboard, y'all last. We up one, you see me. Pussy niggas wanna talk about it, go to Hellcat, no demon. I be politicking on your broadcast at the red carpet like the famous homie. Ask your bitch, really famous homie. And